Today we'll be practicing how to find out the first derivative using the power rule of all these five equations. So let me tell you quickly what is the power rule. So if y is equal to x, for example, take this equation, y is equal to x. So we know that the coefficient of x is 1, which we don't write, and the power is also 1. So the power will be n, and the coefficient is termed as a. Now the power rule tells us that if we differentiate y with respect to x, then what we do is we multiply the power into the coefficient and then we subtract 1 from the power of the x variable. So we will apply the same concept to each and every question, A, B, C, D, E, and find out the first derivative of all these equations. So there are many ways to write first derivative. You can also write y prime, and y is actually a function of x, so we can say f prime of x, or we can say the derivative of y with respect to x. Okay, so these are all basically the same thing. So let's start with question number A. So function of x is equal to 4x squared plus 1. So the derivative of y with respect to x is equal to, so this is the power, so we multiply the power into the coefficient and we get 8, and then we subtract the power by 1, so we get 8x, or 8x to the power 1 is the same thing. And the derivative of a constant is always equal to 0, so this will be plus 0. If you're wondering why, because 1 is equal to 1 times x to the power 0 is equal to 1x to the power 0. So if you multiply 0 by 1, it will be 0. The derivative of any constant is always equal to 0 because it is a constant and there is no change involved into a constant. So that's the reason. So that's our answer. So we can say that f prime of x is equal to 8x. And we are done. Now let's do equation number 2. So equation number 2 tells us that f of x, which is basically y, so f of x is equal to 2x to the power 3, or 2x cubed, plus under root x. Okay, so we can easily write this, that f of x is equal to 2x to the power 3 plus x to the power 1 over 2. Since it is a root, so it will change to the power of 1 over 2. This is 2, keep in mind, 1 over 2. Now we can differentiate. Ready? So the derivative of y with respect to x is equal to, so 2 times 3 will be 6, and then 3 minus 1 is equal to 2, so we get to 6x squared plus, now look at here, x to the power 1 over half, so the coefficient is 1, so we multiply this fraction into 1 and we get 1 over 2 x, and then we have to subtract 1, so we get minus 1 over 2. So this will be half of x to the power minus 1 over 2. And we can also write this in a simplified way. We can say 6x squared plus 1 over 2x to the power positive 1 over 2. Because if a negative power goes down, it changes to positive. So you can say that f prime of x is equal to 6x squared plus 1 over 2x to the power half. Let me get this out of the way so that we can move on to equation number C, which is function of x is equal to x plus, so function of x is equal to x plus 1 over x. Okay, so the power of x right here is 1, so let us move our x up. So this will be x plus x to the power minus 1. Okay, now we can differentiate this, so we can write y prime or f prime of x or dy dx, whatever you want to write. It is basically the same stuff. So we know that the power right here is 1 and the coefficient is 1. So we multiply power by the coefficient. So we get 1. Multiply by, we have to subtract 1. So x to the power 1 minus 1 and plus. What happens this side is this is the power and 1 is the coefficient. So minus 1 times 1 will be minus x. 1 minus 1 will be minus 2. So that's what we get. So y prime is equal to 1 times 1, because x to the power 0 is 1, so 1 times 1 will be 1, and plus times minus will be minus, then x to the power minus 2. So we can say that y prime is equal to 1 minus x to the power negative 2, and if we simplify this further, we can write 1 minus 1 divided by x to the power positive 2. And we are done. This is our answer. So once again, let me get this out of my way so that we can move on to equation number D. Okay, so our equation number D is function of x is equal to x squared plus 6x to the power 1 over 3 minus 3. Okay, so how do we differentiate this? So first thing, we'll write f prime of x, or y prime, or whatever you want to say. So 2 times 1 will be 2, and x to the power 2 minus 1 will be 1, so this is just 2x, okay? And plus, now 1 over 3 times 6 will be 2, and x. And 1 over 3 minus 1 over 1, which is basically 1, and minus 0, because the derivative of a constant is always equal to 0, so we don't even need to write this. Okay, now let's move ahead. F prime of x is equal to 2x plus 2x to the power, we can easily say that it is minus 2 over 3. So we can say f prime of x is equal to 2x plus 1 over 2x to the power positive 2 over 3. And we are done. That's all. Now let's move to our last equation and see what we can do. Okay, so E is actually f of x is equal to 2 over root x plus 3 over x squared minus 1. Now, please keep this in mind that you cannot leave a denominator, because if you leave a denominator, then you have to apply the quotient rule, which I will teach you in the future, but to give you an idea, so let me quickly tell you what is the quotient rule. So quotient rule, suppose if you have a function a of x, and then you have a function b of x, and you have to differentiate this fraction. So when we differentiate a fraction, we differentiate the entire fraction in terms of its quotient. So this is how we do it. So the derivative of the numerator function multiply by the denominator function minus the derivative of the denominator function multiply by the numerator function whole over the square of the denominator function. And that's how we differentiate a fraction. But this is a topic for future. Okay, let's focus on how do we solve this question. I'm just telling you because I don't want you to confuse that this is a fraction, so how can we do it? Okay, so how do we deal with this fraction? Okay, so this we can write as 2 over x to the power half, because it is a root, plus 3 over x to the power 2, or x squared minus 1. Okay, now next step is equal to 2x to the power negative 1 over 2, because if the power goes up, it changes to negative, and plus 3x to the power minus 2, and then minus 1. Okay, now there's no fraction, so there's no quotient rule involved, so don't worry about it. So the first thing we'll do is that we have to multiply this negative power to this coefficient. So minus 1 over 2 times 2 will give you minus 1, and then x. So we subtract 1 from the power, so negative half, negative 1 will be actually negative 1.5, and then plus, and minus 2 times 3 will be minus 6, and then x to the power minus 2 minus 1 will be minus 3, and then this is a constant, so y prime is equal to negative x to the power negative 1.5, okay, and then minus, because plus times minus is minus, and minus 6x to the power negative 3. So let's simplify further. So y prime is equal to minus 1 divided by x to the power 1.5, okay, and minus 6 divided by x to the power plus 3. Okay, and you can actually simplify it further. I don't want anybody to get confused. So this is minus 1 over x to the power 3 divided by 2, right? This is the same thing. So we can write minus 1 over square root of x cubed. Simple. Minus 6 over x to the power 3. Okay. Now there are different ways to represent anything in maths. So thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for watching. And if you have any problems, any questions, you can always drop them down in the comment section below, and I'll be happy to help.